Hello. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast live on a Wednesday. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Brack. Welcome to your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. We are on to the New York Giants, as is Joshua Dobbs, Brack, and what is remaining of this Cardinal offense that scored 0 offensive touchdowns against the Washington Commanders. Yet you had a chance to chat with the QB1 temporarily for the Cardinals today. Why should I and the many people in this chat watching this fine program right now believe that the Cardinals can turn the corner offensively?
You just have to believe what they say, I guess. I mean, look, the actions are going to speak a lot louder than words. I think that, Joshua Dobbs, as much as he's good for a soundbite and he tries to be as transparent as possible, it's going to come down to, can he operate this offense? Can he make the throws necessary to move the chains and make plays and get the explosives that they want offensively? If you take from week 1, you would say you'd be very skeptical about what he's saying. He expects a big jump. But, I think that given the circumstances that he came in here 2 weeks to kind of get up to speed, 5-6 practices with his new teammates, that's really not enough to expect big plays. So just another week in the system practicing with his teammates, maybe it looks, a couple steps better than it did, incrementally better than it did week 1.
I mean, they were close at times. They were in the red zone once or twice. And of course, they got points via field goals and field goals only. Prater had 3. He was 3 for 3. Looked good. I do think that, it will be a point of emphasis for this team to try to get off to a fast start. I think if you're sitting around and it's the middle of the second quarter and it's gone almost 6 quarters without an offensive touchdown, I think guys let that seep into their psyche a little bit. I could definitely see this team being aggressive. I know a lot of people put this out on the interwebs right now that this is the Cardinals' best opportunity for a dub for the next 10 weeks. I don't know if I believe that. But I do think somebody outlined it between now and mid-November, it's tough sledding. And I get it. We all can overreact.
Drinking that Rams Kool-Aid? Is that after 1 week of play? Okay.
I guess that's what they're thinking. But for me, it's you can do a lot to build the confidence of this group with Dobbs and company and subsequently bury the Giants with a fast start on Sunday. I don't know how resilient this Giants team is. If they start slow after getting just destroyed 40-0 on national TV, and the Cardinals can come out and jump out to a quick 10-0, 14, God forbid, to nothing lead, I mean, you're set up for major success. Whereas if it's 7 or 10 the opposite way, and you're asking Joshua Dobbs like he had to do in the fourth quarter last weekend to play from behind, that this team just can't operate that way. So I would not be surprised if this team went for it on 4th down early. Gannon was aggressive in the preseason. You want to be able to build confidence. And I don't know, if we get to halftime, if we're doing our halftime show on Sunday and they haven't scored an offensive touchdown yet, that's going to get to some people. You can't convince me otherwise. These are pro athletes, and that stigma of can we score points? That's going to be a real thing.
How long did it take last season? Remember that in the first half, they were shut out in the first half for was it 3 going into the 3rd or 4th week? It was brutal. It was a brutal display of offensive football, and you hope with the coaching staff change, the offensive play caller change, that you would see more consistency, at least. Not obviously huge crooked numbers. I don't think anybody was anticipating that. But I'll say this: I mean, if you look at the injury report, it's not going to help the Giants case either. But we'll get to that a little bit later. But I think this Giants team is very close to being broken. I mean, as encouraged as you are with what Brian Daboll was able to accomplish and do with what he did with Daniel Jones and get a healthy Saquon Barkley and doing the things to get themselves back to the postseason, I think then Daboll will take home Coach of the Year honors as well last year for his performance. If you look at their last 2 performances on tape, I mean, they've been 78-7.
Yeah. Well, we depicted it yesterday.
It's not competitive. And they're sitting here and they're road favorites. And the Arizona Cardinals are kind of they have nothing to lose. The Arizona Cardinals are a dangerous team to a team that's as volatile and vulnerable as the New York Giants are.
was my argument week 1, where the Washington Commanders had to play tight, and they did, I think, for 3 quarters until Joshua Dobbs turned it over twice in about the span of about 12 minutes. And then now, I mean, Daniel Jones, he got paid all that money. If he struggles against a no-name Cardinal front seven, like you'll hear those birds chirping in the crowd, assuming there are Giants fans there and some teammates. Saquon Barkley's playing on a 1-year contract. Darren Waller, we'll talk about this later, has not looked good, and he's got hamstring issues. Like, I think the Cardinals play with house money every game this year. Like, assuming they can get 1 win early-ish and they take that pressure off of Gannon, because I know a lot of people out there still assume this team could go winless, which is ridiculous because they almost won last week. The Giants are poised to be upset. You're at home. You've got the enthusiasm of this crowd, who I think is going to be bought in, because it's not Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury, thank goodness, running the operation. Like, you can have renewed belief, maybe not for Josh Dobbs, but for what the Cardinals and Austin Ford and Gannon are trying to do. And just give them a good product and build off of something. I think, as much as I wanted last week to be the inaugural win for Gannon and to do it in opening weekend fashion, I'm with you. You picked this game as an upset before the season started. I think this would mean more because of you're doing it in front of the Red Sea, your home crowd here in Arizona.
I mean, as far as opportunity and being able to go into your bag from last season and Jonathan Gannon, the previous season, and having played and prepared for Daniel Jones and 5 times like he has over the last 2 years, and not coming off of the unknowns like they had. It wasn't the Washington team that Jonathan Gannon faced so many times. It was a new player caller on the offensive side of the football. It was a new quarterback in Sam Howell, and they did really well with that. But like, there is, statistical backup of Jonathan Gannon having an immense amount of success against the Giants, where they average just under 14 points, 13.6 points per game against Jonathan Gannon coach defenses. And of course, Nick Rollis, the new DC, or DC under Jonathan Gannon, is an extension of that. But it's going to come down to this offense operating enough, to putting up enough points to win a football game, go out and win a football game. Because I think the defense, I would be pretty surprised if they take a significant step back and really let Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley and crew get on track, especially with where they're depleted on the offensive line. And the big playmaker, the big splash they made this offseason, Darren Waller, as you mentioned, that reported lingering hamstring issue that's going to be a problem for him reportedly throughout the season. But that offense, I mean, they've got to find a way to cash in. They've got to be able to. I know you're not going to be able to always go touchdown over field goal. You'll take the points when you can take the points with this offense. But you hear Josh Dobbs after the game saying, "I expect a big jump," and then producer Damon, we heard from him today, and kind of outlining just the difference in between this time last week and now.
From where we were last Wednesday to this Wednesday, it's like night and day, just understanding each other, understanding the flow and the rhythm of the offense. And so just continue to grow as we get more time and more time on task on the field.
Guys coming out of routes, working more with Zach Ertz. Hollywood Brown was not even on the injury report today. It seems like he's full go, which is great, something I wasn't expecting. So you're getting a full complement of playmakers for Joshua Dobbs, and then some as far as his production with Calvin Beachum returning to practice, as far as being your top, backup offensive lineman. So the Arizona Cardinals on the offensive side of the football, I think, to what you were saying, like, I think Jonathan Gannon goes to Drew Petzing and says, "Hey, we need those explosives. We need you to open it up. It's time for you and your side of the football to show your worth a little bit early on here."
Can you tell me, Bo Brack, when the last time this Cardinal team, dating back to 2022, scored over 20 points? Think about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time this Cardinal team, everybody wants to put the ownership on Dobbs, and I get that. Yep. This Cardinal team, when's the last time they've scored over 20 points?
Was it the Thursday night football game, or was it?
It was the last time Kyler Murray took the field for this team.
Okay. Against LA Chargers?
For the entire game. That's right.
Wow.
They lost to the Chargers 25-24. Kyler Murray gets hurt against the Patriots. Here are their total points now. And again, everybody wants to blame Josh Dobbs because he's been here for 2 seconds. Against the Patriots last year, 13 points. Denver, 15 points. Tampa Bay, 16 points. Atlanta, 19 points. Atlanta, the Niners, they only had 13 points. And then in the opener, 16 points. I mean, like, this has not been a good offensive team for a while since Kyler Murray went down. So I think maybe it's a little naive for a lot of us just to sit here and say touchdowns, touchdowns, touchdowns. You have to score, do this, 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 and this. It's like they cut DeAndre Hopkins, guys. Like they're trying to integrate new pieces. Michael Wilson's a baby in this league. He's a rookie. Rondell Moore's never put it all together. Hollywood Brown probably needs a good quarterback to be productive again. Zach Ertz is coming off an ACL. Like, I like Drew Petzing. Like, should we be surprised? And no one wants to get shut out for offensive touchdowns. But it's like, look around the NFL. Where are your skill players at? Where's your quarterback at? Where's your cohesiveness? Like, truth be told, this is probably pretty easy to see coming, in my opinion. You get an elite defensive head coach and a front seven with 4 first-rounders on it. You have problems. Some of it's self-inflicted, some of it's not. Like, I think we need to get off of this. This is Josh Dobbs and only Like, no, man. This team has been ass offensively since Kyler Murray got hurt. They cannot score points. It's a quarterback league. Josh Dobbs is a backup. Maybe to some people, he's a backup to a backup. Like, so I'm with you. Like, this defense, even dating back to last year with Vance Joseph, like, most of the time it puts out a quality product, right? Cardinals are more defensive team than they are offensive team these days, certainly since the 2021 season. But for me, it's just like this offense is going to be, I think, a significant work in progress. I hope by mid-October, they can build some momentum and you can really see it come to fruition. But these games, outside of like a big punt return from Greg Dortch, special team plays, a short field, like 10 to 12 play drives, I think are going to be a rarity for the Cardinals right now. They don't have the horses and they don't have the quarterback.
And Jonathan Gannon said that much. I mean, it's so hard in the NFL to sustain and have the expectation of double-digit play scoring drives. It's unrealistic. And that's why explosives are so important. And the fact that they lacked them, I mean, outside of a 31-yard game by Rondell Moore, there wasn't much of it in the reverse from Hollywood Brown. I mean, that was it. That was pretty much it for the Arizona Cardinals in week 1 of the NFL season. So they've got to be able to dial that up, and, familiarity and timing and having not being in a hostile environment, that's only going to help a guy like Joshua Dobbs. But yeah, I mean, as far as being realistic about this offense and how does it take a jump from week 1, the biggest thing is ball security, to where you can't put your defense that played so well in compromising position. Like that's the first thing, right? Because if you do that and you've got the field goals and your defense is playing with its ears pinned back and making plays for you, that's great. And then, you can't be shut out of the end zone. So asking for a one offensive touchdown and limit the mistakes to where you're not really putting your defense in a compromising position, I don't think that's unrealistic from a guy like Joshua Dobbs.
I agree with that. Like, that's what it was last week. Like, say what you want about Dobbs, they were not making mistakes. They just weren't going anywhere, right? Yeah. Like, for me, if they win that game 16-10, in my belief, if they don't have the 2 fumbles and you give them short fields. Because what did Washington do? They got an easy touchdown and a gimme field goal where they might.
You put Sam Howell with his back against the wall, he might throw another pick.
Right.
And you put your offense in a position where even if they stall out, Matt Prater can come on and tack on.
In my opinion, that's why the loss was on Drew Petzing. Because it's like, if I'm playing with a guy who's been here for 5 minutes and I have a 6-point lead at the end of the third quarter, like, what did Ron Rivera do? He did what was smart. I can't let Sam Howell do shit. I got to let him. We got to run the ball into the line of scrimmage. We're going to gain 2 yards per carry. We're going to punt. Like, that should have been the Cardinals' motto. You got to survive. It's about surviving right now. You want to evaluate young players. You get a lead if you're the Cardinal team with a small margin for error. Can we scratch and claw to get us to the finish line? Because it should not be the expectation that Josh Dobbs is going to lead a game-winning drive. Maybe he'll surprise people, but you can't sit there and say, like, that's something that's likely to happen. So if you're playing with house money in the second half and you're up by 3 points, 7 points, 10 points, it needs to be, I'm hanging on for dear life. I need to play not to lose instead of playing to win. I need to allow my defense to make plays, get in front of a home crowd that's going to make some noise, and lean on a pass rush that looks rejuvenated. Awesome. Play to your strength. But man, like, 7-step drops on 3rd and 16 for Josh Dobbs. You're asking to get beat, and they got beat because of it.
Yeah. You got to get the football out a lot quicker. Hopefully, more familiarity we'll have more of a quick strike offense. Killing it in the chat, no doubt about it. Michael Evans didn't like Petzing's play calling. You got Fishbowl Flash already on a Wednesday, dropping a prediction 23-20. Cards, if Ertz holds on, well, he's talking about week 1. If Ertz hauls down that touchdown that was just out of reach, Ertz should only play third downs and red zone. Arizona Animal. Yeah, you see them. You see a lot of the plays out there that were left on the field that you would have liked to have back if you're Dobbs, if you're Ertz, if you're Petzing. But to come to a little bit of the aid of Drew Petzing is this offense sometimes did itself a disservice as far as the play on the field, putting themselves, missing assignments as far as picking up blockers. Those Keontae Ingram carries were brutal, where you had Jonathan Allen just sidestepping an offensive lineman and blowing up the play in the backfield, or laundry on the field, which was tough, false starts and stuff like that. It's going to be a collective effort from being a team that's a little bit more disciplined and a team that's going that knows that, hey, I'm not saying that they didn't expect to be in that position, but it's like they were just trying to keep their head above the water offensively. And now it's just like, no, you have to perform offensively now. Hopefully they take that pressure and move forward with it.
Well, here's my disappointment in that mindset. Like, I think you're always going to be limited by what you can do in the passing game by who's throwing the ball. And you're like, no shit, Johnny, that's cliche. Then if you knew you were going to have limitations because you did, whether it's Colt McCoy, Clayton Tune, or Josh Dobbs, I'm a little bit disappointed. We'll play hindsight here. Like, go get another dynamic back in free agency or the draft to pair with James Conner so there's not a significant drop-off. Like, I watch and James Conner, I think, was PFF's like highest graded back this weekend. That's awesome. He should have gotten more carries. But like, I watch other backs around the NFL manufacture yards behind the line of scrimmage when they're hit initially. I watched what Petzing and company did in Cleveland with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Like, I know it's easy to say in hindsight, like, that's what you should have done, but that's what you should have done. Spend a second-round pick on Steve Avila, who's starting for the LA Rams right now out of TCU, who's going to be a plus player for them. Go all in with that mindset, because I just feel like Elijah Wilkinson is a placeholder, right? We don't know about Yelda Froholt and Will Anderson Jr. DJ Humphries certainly looks like he's in the last year he's going to be with this team. If you truly intend, what's San Francisco do every year? This is San Francisco's offense. They draft a back every year, right? They pay premium tackles, even though they've got, Christian McCaffrey and Debo and Ayuk, and they distribute with Brock Purdy. The run game should play a bigger role. Yet you didn't add a back, you added a tackle, but that's about it. Like, I don't know. I'm disappointed with how they, of course, chose to tackle the, compensatory plan or, break glass in case of emergency plan. If Kyler Murray's not ready, well, he's not. So do you have something else to lean on? Yeah. I feel like, they missed some opportunities to solidify what they could do offensively to set them up for early success. Because right now you're just kind of guessing.
Yeah. I think I made this analogy earlier this week. It's like Josh Dobbs was that break glass in case of emergency guy, and behind that glass was like an inflatable axe. Like, it wasn't like a real one. It was just like, and it squeaked when you hit it. Like, squeak.
That's exactly right.
It's just it, and like, I think people did not really understand like what we were saying about Dobbs and how it was to McCoy, and like that. I don't know. People thought that us telling them that Dobbs was their guy and gives you the best opportunity to win means that Dobbs was going to go out there and play like a Pro Bowl quarterback, and that wasn't it at all. I mean, you know who Joshua Dobbs is, you know what his skill set is, and I think that the Cardinals are a bit bullish on it, that he can go out there and win them a football game in a perfect situation, but with backups and things are far from perfect all the time in the NFL because it's so tough, that a guy like Joshua Dobbs he can be good and he can do things that you want him to do within the offense. But outside of that, I mean, if you're expecting more, it's just not going to happen. That's when players like that, they develop into starting caliber players. And that's why those guys get paid the big bucks.
I think if you look back at our prediction show from last Friday, not to toot our horn, but I think can he have a 1 to 2 touchdown day? Would have been a productive day, like running or throwing the football, like 1 rushing, 1 passing, and then maybe he has 1 turnover. They win that game, of course, if he just has 1 passing touchdown or rushing touchdown. And I also thought that the offense would be much more explosive on the ground. I thought there'd be more explosive plays from James Conner, and I think that's detriment to the play calling. Again, when you're back, James Conner is one of the highest paid running backs in the NFL. Now, the on the field product may not support that, but they are paying him 8 figures this year to be the bell cow. 10 carries for the bell cow when you're starting Josh Dobbs and you're having success on the ground. It's inexcusable at that point in the fourth quarter. And I know you talked to Gannon earlier this week and Petsing about it. Like, the game just got away from him at that point. They want to prioritize it, but the flow of the game, like, that's bullshit. Like, you're playing Josh Dobbs. You need to, James Conner, the drive, is cliche and predictable as it sounds, like he needs to have the ball 2 out of the 3 times. On the ground, counter plays, off tackle, dive plays. It felt like this past week, and I hope it changes this week. Like, Drew had some good calls in the preseason. It's like, let me showcase what I can do. It's like, no. We need you just to be meat and potatoes right now because we don't have a franchise quarterback out there.
Yeah, just make the just get the exchange from the center, which at one point was too much last game.
Right.
With a wet football, there's not going to be any conditions as far as inside State Farm Stadium, which is great, and Dobbs talked about that today. But make the exchange, hand it off. If you need to get some help as far as going up against the Dexter Lawrence or whoever is a problem as far as on the New York Giants defensive line, then do that. I mean, they couldn't. It was easier said than done, and wasn't done against Jonathan Duran Payne and why
Jonathan Allen.
Yeah, Jonathan Allen. He was an absolute man possessed. So,
well, I see Jalen Blair points out in the chat, and I agree with that. But they're running it for 4 to 5 yards per carry. Like, they're doing it. I get it,
Damon.
Yeah, here I get it. And this is a good point from Jalen. Like, what do you expect them to do? If it's the first or second quarter and they're averaging 1.8 yards per carry or 2.7, like, I'm like, well, no, duh. Start throwing the ball. Try to do something else. The run game was working with James Conner. He was breaking tackles. You were giving Dobbs positive yards on 2nd and 3rd down to work with. The playbook would be open on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 2nd and 5. It's when they started drives and they were going backwards. They were dropping back. They were doing some cute stuff in the backfield with Keontae Ingram. If it wasn't working, get away from it. It was working. You had it right there. It's 16-10, and he's got 4.4 yards per carry, but he's got 10 carries. Okay, then he's getting 10 more in the span of 1 quarter if I'm calling that game. And then they turn the ball over and they're losing now, and suddenly, we have to throw it now. If they could do it again, they would do it differently. I'm convinced of that. And hopefully they're presented with the same chance this weekend and they remedy it, Bo.
Yeah, I think that it was a learning experience. Obviously, they'll say it to not single anybody out, but, the defense is probably was the strongest phase, is the 3 phases. And then you say special teams and then the offensive side of the football. I think Petsing, it was, that's why you saw the picture that was, I think, on social media where it's Gannon like embracing Drew Petsing, hugging him, despite, them falling short, and that side of the football, maybe the root cause of the team losing in week 1. Look, it's got to be better. And I think what we've outlined here as far as them making a jump, they're not going to immediately jump back into it. And it's the Kyler Murray day, Kyler Murray operating this thing and just putting the team on his back and making plays. And that's Joshua Dobbs come Sunday. It's game managing, it's taking care of the football, but it's also finding here and there. And we saw this with Dobbs in Tennessee. We didn't see it last week, but we saw it in the regular season finale. He hits a wide receiver in stride, 21 yards with a beautiful pass for a touchdown. He's capable of doing it. Just didn't see anything that resembled that outside of maybe the Rondale Moore 31-yard play.
It's going to be tough. And right now, we talked about that spread. It is robust. 5.5-point favorites are the New York Giants coming across country, right? They played the late game on Sunday Night Football. They scored 0 points, but they do have an offensive coach in Brian Daboll who can manufacture offense. So the Cardinals are going to have to go punch for punch with the New York Giants. You can go punch for punch with us at BetMGM. How about bet 10, get $200 back? Bonus bets for free with the promo code PHNX. Again, get that BetMGM Sportsbook app or at their mobile site or on your desktop computer. Place a mere $10 and you will receive $200 instantly in additional winnings regardless of your outcome. So again, hypothetically, you put money on the Cards money line like I did, boom, $200 in additional bonus bets for you using that bonus code PHNX. Everybody go right now, download the BetMGM Sportsbook app, iOS, Android, or visit betmgm.com and sign up with the bonus code PHNX. $10 gets you $200 right now. Again, the premier place to wager on game day. How about a little parlay action this weekend, Bo? Are there a couple games that you like? I would say right now, if I'm looking at the schedule here, I think Minnesota's a team in desperation mode. I think Chicago's a team in desperation mode. Those are some teams that I would look at parlaying the money line with BetMGM. We always see things change where teams have, maybe the Giants, a sense of urgency come week 2.
Yeah, like Minnesota, one, they've got a bad taste in their mouth from the last performance they had in Philly. But, I think that you saw some places they can exploit in the defensive secondary against the Eagles. Could be an opportunity for them to have a bounce back. And, of course, obviously the wise guys and at BetMGM, it's based on, getting the public to jump in on that. People want to trust their eyes and what they saw. Philly winning week 1 and Minnesota losing a bad game. Maybe you can get some value there with the Vikings. Maybe you can see the Bears bounce back. I don't know, but you can get all the action on BetMGM with that promo code PHNX.
Check out the show notes for full details as it relates to BetMGM. And now listen to our guy Shane Diefenbach talk about it in the disclaimer.
Problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
You got to keep that promo code handy because it's like a skeleton key to a lot of great things, including 50% off 2 or more premium polarized shades from our friends over at Shady Rays, independent sunglasses company that's into getting you a world-class product for not world-class prices or premium prices. They like to keep their price point well under $100. And when you use that promo code, you are way under that. 50% off 2 or more pairs. They also have that lost and broken replacement. So if you lose your pair, even on the first day, they'll replace it. No question asked. Also, if you break them, they'll replace them as well. But man, it is a premium product. They are a sturdy pair of sunglasses and they're good looking as well. Check out their full product line at Shady Rays, their store in Kierland Commons up in Scottsdale, or of course online, shadyrays.com. Either place, in person or online, use that promo code PHNX. You'll yell it at the person to help you at the store. They'll think you're a weirdo, but they're still going to give you your 50% discount. PHNX, shadyrays.com, rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
AZ fan 1998, friend of the program, $5 super chat. Our Arizona Cardinals will never be out of the news this season. They got to win these tough games to prove that this team isn't taking #Rise Up Red Sea. I'll do you one better, AZ fan. I think the Cardinals win this weekend, and I think they are temporarily removed from the tanking narrative because there's going to be a team that I think is going to leapfrog them in terms of the old draft standings. If you haven't watched or checked out what's going on in Carolina right now, their whole team is in disarray. They've lost both starting guards. They look terrible. J.C. Horn is out. Who owns the Carolina Panthers' first pick? Is the Chicago Bears. So the Bears and the Cardinals, you figure are going to have premium picks anyway. But I think with a win this weekend, especially, the narrative is going to change. Like, oh shit, should we be paying attention to these other teams that just frankly aren't very good? Because the Cardinals are going to have 2 competitive games, I predict, back-to-back weeks.
Robert, we're going to gut these fuckers. He's going full JG before the NFC Championship game. We'll tell you where our meter is come Friday on that and how much fire we have in our gut by then. But we don't have that completely dialed in, but we will. Look, the Arizona Cardinals are really going to be in a good situation, with the previous experience with the defensive coaching staff and the success that they had against the Giants, where the Giants are right now. As I said, 78-7 in their last 2 games, including their last playoff game against the Eagles. the opener against the Cowboys. Two very good football teams, no doubt about it. Don't discount that, but not competitive. Daniel Jones was the guy at quarterback, continues to be the guy at quarterback, struggled mightily in both of those contests. So if the Cardinals can keep him off schedule, that's good news for them. We were talking today to the Arizona Cardinals, very talented 6th overall pick who had a really solid debut. You're starting to see in the trenches. Brandon Thorne put out some highlights from Paris Johnson's entire week 1 performance on tape and how impressive it was from the young man out of Ohio State. He did have one blemish, I guess you can call that. He had a unsportsmanlike penalty in the game, and he was just pretty much picking up a Washington Commanders player who was just lying on top of his poor quarterback Joshua Dobbs. But we talked to Paris Johnson Jr., and he got some help, and it just continues to show that this Arizona Cardinals team is just full of dogs. Here's what PJ had to say about his unsportsmanlike penalty.
In a moment, it was a matter of I'm a tackle, right, a protected quarterback. There's a game going on. I should still be able to get him from laying up. Because if I was under there, I'd be looking like, dude, you guys just looking at me right now? That's just me. Coming as a rookie, not knowing the rules, I'd have been laying there like, pick me up.
To sum it up, get the fuck off our quarterback.
So,
What he said.
Right, what he said, what I can't say.
To sum it up, get the fuck off our quarterback. Mijo things from our guy, Will Hernandez. Just you knew he was up to no good when he was just looming in the background of that media scrum. But I love the right side, the nastiness of Paris Johnson Jr. and his kind of mentor on that side of the football, Will Hernandez.
Well, they outperformed the left side. I'm going to tell you right now, the left side is making way more money than the right side. Will Hernandez was the highest graded PFF O-lineman over the weekend for the Cardinals, and one of the highest in football. Had a nice grade, and Paris Johnson Jr. gave up no sacks or quarterback hits. That's the side you got to feel good about. Both those guys are under contract through 2024. Will Hernandez's chest, by the way, in that screenshot, like I've been in the locker room with Will Hernandez, and he's 2 of me. He's one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen in my entire life. Paris Johnson Jr. is tall, but the girth of Will Hernandez is enormous. And listen, that I assume that this team wants to be more physical. They're certainly physical defensively, and we saw that last week. If they're going to become the physical ground and pound team that we need until K1 comes back, it's got to start with those 2 players. As cliche as that sounds, like they're 2 of the nastiest players they have on the team, supremely talented, like not to knock the rest of the offensive line. Will Hernandez was a top 40 pick, and I think has lived up to expectations since he's come here. And then what more can you say? Like, I feel like there is a little bit of a narrative that we slobber too much over Paris Johnson Jr. I think you have to contextualize it and grave it on a curve. What have Cardinal tackles look like year 1? I'm sorry, Levi Brown. There have been people on Twitter saying you guys are too into Paris Johnson Jr. Like, let it play out. I'm sorry. Is no sacks, no hurries a good thing against Washington?
Delete the app. They don't get it.
Did you watch Levi Brown when they passed on Adrian Peterson look like a total sieve on the offensive
Humphries,
line?
Who's been a really solid tackle for this organization for 8 years. His first year, he couldn't play. To see a guy come in year 1 and have the performance that he had, sorry, I'm a little giddy.
I want to apologize. That people are buzzing about this rookie class because they are. They started a couple rookies. Go look at Keitrell Clark's game film from Sunday, and obviously what Paris did and Michael Wilson starting. Like, that's an appropriate term because these draft classes have been awful for 10 plus years. The Cardinals have not had a homegrown offensive tackle make the Pro Bowl in like 30 years. So yeah, I'm sorry if I get excited about it. Did he make a Pro Bowl or was he an alternate? Yeah. He was an alternate.
I think he made one either.
No, he was an alternate. I think he was all like Mike Iupati was a true Pro Bowler. They signed him, right? Lomas Brown in the early 90s, right. True Pro Bowler coming over from Detroit. Somebody that you can prop up. Like, this has the best chance to be a Pro Bowl offensive lineman, offensive tackle for this team since like circa the late 70s with the elite right side of the O-line that they had with, I don't know, Dan Deerdorf, who's in the Hall of Fame, like Conrad Dobler. That's the kind of prospect that you have. So I'm sorry if I'm going to get excited about a guy who goes out there, who's 21 years old and dominates Washington's defensive line at times. Like, well, let's just wait. Let's let him play. Of course, I'm going to watch all 17 games this year, but I know the difference between Paris Johnson Jr. this year as a rookie and guys like Levi Bust and DJ Humphries, Mr. Inactive as a rookie. I'm sorry. I'm not going to hold back my excitement for that. You know what good offensive line play is? I've seen it for my entire life with this team.
Celebrate it, Johnny. Get on top of Camelback Mountain and yell it.
Can't get too excited over this rookie class. Oh, my goodness. He was the 6th overall pick, and he looked like it on Sunday. He's going to be elite. He's going to be their best lineman at the end. Don't get too excited, Johnny.
Yeah. Just hold on. Let's watch him play more football.
Wait a minute. Hang on. Let me check the advanced stats here. Oh, no. What's going on with the Cardinals offense? Wait a minute. You missed a block here. Putting guys on their ass. I can't get excited about that. People in this market, man. Just I get it. The Cardinals aren't very good, and you want to nitpick everything. The kid they drafted 6th overall is good. Deal with it. He's going to be really
6th round rookie, played corner. Held in there. What Kyle Odegaard put the stats out today. They got people who know how to coach
young players now and rookies. Yeah. It's just different. I don't know. Like, you're allowed to be excited about the young players on this team. This podcast is giving you permission, even though you don't need our permission.
Let it out. Let your hair down on the rookies on this team. Paris Johnson Jr. continues to be a national treasure. I asked him because when I first kind of started really looking at film of him coming from Ohio State, I noticed that any Buckeye touchdown, there was Paris Johnson Jr. in the end zone with the Ohio State scoring player, and he either was jumping over them or picking them up. And I asked him if he's going to continue that at the pro level, and this was the answer from Paris Johnson.
I think, when we score, I'm to pick him up because I remember my first day here when I was in the room with Monty after I got picked. He told me he preferred for me to not try to leap over the person that scores, because honestly I kind of like doing the leap because it was kind of fun because it was a surprise for people, but it also made me feel like really athletic. Like, oh wow, like if I really want to jump you, I could. You know what I mean? So it's all in the moment. I'm sure if Rondale scores, I'll probably just go for the leap. So but it's all in the moment. It's all in the moment. So
I don't get it. Why Rondale?
Because he's not very big.
He's not very big.
What did I say the first training camp practice that you and I went to together? I said, I want to be picked up by Paris Johnson Jr. I want him to lift me up like a little baby and carry me around. And I have no shame in saying that. And I hope one day we can make it come to fruition on this podcast when he's made like his 5th Pro Bowl. And we've won 5 Emmys for the show.
Let's look at what both the celebrations look like. Yeah, look at it. Just leaping over. I'm surprised he gets, and there he is picking up Greg Dortch. That was in the red-white scrimmage. Yeah, don't say that about Dortch. Don't say that's adorable. But you gotta love the juice that Paris Johnson Jr. brings. He even mentioned it, I think, going into week 1 after wrapping up his first training camp in the NFL level, that he was given permission basically from the veterans of the NFL or the Arizona Cardinals. And they're like, hey, dude, you don't have to be a rookie. You don't have to be this guy, asking where certain places are. Or, do I have to do this? I mean, sure, he did things that are just a rite of passage in the NFL, carrying pads and stuff like that. But you don't have to be that guy. You can just show up and be a vet because they believe in him that much.
Like, Paris Johnson Jr. is not going to be a rookie in like 4 weeks from now. Like, technically on paper, he will be. But like we talked about it, I brought this up on the show. He's a top 10 player on this team already. Like, he's physically more gifted than Kelvin Beachum. That's why everybody said projected. Remember, everybody's like, he's going to play guard because they're going to let Kelvin Beachum start. They're going to put Josh Jones out there. No, he's actually the most talented offensive lineman they have. They're going to set him up for success. God forbid they're going to play him at right tackle from the moment he stepped out for OTAs. Remember that BS we had to listen to? Like, no. Here's a cornerstone franchise player. Play him in his natural position because we're going to get ahead of this. So he's not playing right tackle for the first time or left tackle in 2024, and there's a learning curve. They're ripping the Band-Aid off with that now. He will be one of the probably 5 to 7 best players on this roster come January. Assuming he stays healthy, and you can't predict that, knock on wood, God forbid he gets hurt. On the field, he's going to have Sundays where 80 PFF grade, pancakes. You've already started to see the culmination of it. He's going to play lesser defensive lines than Washington. He's going to continue to gain that confidence. And then he's going to spend all 2024's offseason getting bigger and more physical. And I think his trajectory is Pro Bowler. That's what you take in the first round top 10 that Steve Keim and Rod Graves, I love them both, not really, that this franchise couldn't understand is Your first round picks have to make Pro Bowls and be all pros.
Right.
Monty Ossenford, in my opinion, you go 1 for 1. I know everybody loves Will Anderson Jr. and he's going to be great, but like they took this kid from Ohio State because they think he's going to be a Pro Bowler and we're going to give him $150 million one day. And that's what he's projecting to be. You know quickly,
right?
Does a guy have it or not, right? And you knew quickly for some of Kimes guys, they could not play.
No, and what was so fantastic about Monty Ossenfort and how he kind of had the pulse of the draft board, where he trades down to 12 and he's like, oh shit, if I want this guy, I mean, and there's a significant difference between him and tackle, 2, 3, and 4. And I know the kid for the Bears played fine, but you want Skoronski as far as projectables? Yeah. There was nobody that touched him, and that's why he was aggressive, got back up to 6, and that's why they have Paris Johnson Jr., and it's fantastic. Paris Johnson Jr., Will Hernandez, love to see it. It's like a pro wrestling duo. I mean, they bust through the door. They've got their own music.
It's called a tag team, not a duo. Yeah. It's called a tag team.
Sorry, yeah. Partners, some pro wrestling partners.
I don't like you talking pro wrestling is full transparency. We had a chance to have Seth Rollins on the show during Super Bowl week. He's standing right next to us, and Bo's like, "I'm not interested. I don't want Seth Rollins on."
He was standing right next to him. Like, okay, when we see him, we tell him we're not interested because I
don't want this guy. I don't want some wrestler on our podcast. Some pro wrestler.
I like real sports. Not
they're a duo, like in wrestling.
They still do wrestling with the writers on strike.
How dare you? You're such a jackass. Tell me about the injury report. What happened?
Johnny's the guy. It's still real to me. Yeah, let's take a look at this injury report. Not so bad for the Arizona Cardinals. It is kind of tough. LJ Collier played really well in preseason and camp. He did not practice today, biceps. Joshua Woods has been nice as well, special teamer. Also, he started at inside backer next to Kazir White. He was not practicing with an ankle. We didn't get to talk to JG about that. We didn't know that these guys weren't going to be there when we talked to JG before practice. We'll try to get more insight tomorrow and Friday. Kelvin Beachum was back out there. You get more depth on the offensive line. And then the one thing I don't think I'm concerned he's going to miss a game. But James Conner, to have a calf show up, never good for a guy who averages 13 games per season. You want to have JC as healthy as possible, but just limited, maybe just maintenance. But then, my God, you look at the other side of this, what a bloodbath already for the New York Giants. Andrew Thomas, Darren Waller, they've just got a ton of guys, including the kicker down here. You've got B.J. Ojulari's brother, Azeez Ojulari, dealing with a hamstring. They are already really in rough shape.
This feels like a Saquon Barkley game for them, doesn't it? Like when they're just going to put all their chips in the middle of the table and try to win with their franchise back because they're so limited everywhere else. And like, don't poo-poo Andrew Thomas, like potentially not playing. I've read between the tea leaves with a lot of their media members, there is internal talk about sitting him this weekend because they play on a short week. I think they go to San Francisco next Thursday. They play an elite defensive front. So I think they're going to have to weigh whether or not they can beat the Cardinals without Andrew Thomas. I'm sure those are the discussions they're having right now, because if they play him in what they think is a must-win game and he gets hurt even more so, their season's over. He's their best offensive player outside Saquon Barkley.
They need to win this game. And the biggest misconception about the Arizona Cardinals is that you just show up and you get an automatic dub.
Tell that to the people in New York, even after 40-0 loss, like they feel like they can sit Andrew Thomas. They'll be fine against a no-name front that had 6 sacks on Sam Howell. Like, and I went back and rewatched the defensive tape this morning. Like, they were not coverage sacks. Like, people were getting blown off the ball. Like, go watch Victor Dumakagi's sack, just destroying, I think it was the guard, and diving at Sam Howell's legs and bringing him down instantly. Dennis Gardeck had a spin move. Like, these were not and I think the secondary did a great job. That's not a knock on them. The Cardinals were getting after Sam Howell in like under 3 seconds.
Did you see?
Go ahead.
Did you see the AZ Cardinals did a really good job? They did a film breakdown with Nick Rollis on the first sack from Dennis Gardeck right around midfield. They put poor former quarterback Logan Thomas trying to guard Dennis Gardeck, and he just absolutely owned him for his first sack.
Dennis, man, again, I would love to see him replicate that. What if Dennis Gardeck like has 10 sacks this year? I might have to wear a clown nose if we ever get a chance to interview him and just basically apologize. The good news is Britton Golden, BG, our co-host on game days, is good friends with Dennis Gardeck, and like will hopefully prevent him from beating my ass mercifully if he ever runs into me.
Or if he's the great guy that we know BG to be, he just immediately just throws you under the bus and you have to wear it in front of Dennis Gardeck.
Just literally holds me up for Dennis just to take shot after shot at my midsection in my face, just beating me. And Bo's like, this is good content. Just keep going. I thought I was safe with Isaiah Simmons leaving town, and now Dennis Gardeck's having a career year. I'm in trouble.
It's a good problem to have that the Arizona Cardinals have such a stacked rotation, at least through 1 week, and you want to see that consistently happen and take advantage of a group that's down as far as the Giants' offensive line. If they want to naively believe that they can get past it without their top tackle, then go for it, because Nick Rawls and Jonathan Gannon, look ahead to San Francisco on Thursday Night Football. Go ahead, please do so, because you're gonna lose. It's the biggest misconception right now. You can look at all the power rankings and they can be 32 out of 32 and all this and that, but you're not just going to walk into State Farm Stadium, or you're not just going to have them show up and you're not just going to be handed your win for the week.
Like, I'm not trying to be a jackass. Like, where's the talent on their team? I think that's why we were so impressed with Brian Daboll last year. Like, they were projected to be like a 3-win team last year, and kudos to him. He did a fabulous job, but they snuck up on everybody. I don't think they're that talented. I think they're one of the least talented teams. Look at that. They don't have any household names. Like, they got a couple guys on their defensive line that were drafted once, like Leonard Williams and some people. Their back seven's not very good. Their receivers are awful. Like, I don't know, man. The Cardinals are poised to win this game, in my opinion.
That's how I use the press conference as kind of trying to cheat and find out where that is. Like, it was like legit interest. Like Jonathan Gannon, like, where do you see the talent on defense? Like, where do you see that? Like, he named Saquon Barkley and he named Daniel Jones, and I think he just has to say Daniel Jones out of respect or whatever. He can't just go on record.
Daniel Jones had 16 passing touchdowns last year, and there were people on the Twitter streets and they're mostly people that were in Giants blue saying that he's better than Kyler Murray.
Yeah,
Daniel Jones losing to Josh Dobbs on Sunday would be something to behold, and you can see it in person if you so choose. And I encourage everybody, I'm not here to tell people how to spend their money, but if you have some extra scratch and you've been holding off, now's the chance for you to get on Game Time, Bo Brock, and save. Not only save with $20 off your first purchase with bonus code PHNX, but save because it's your premier app for procrastinators out there looking to buy tickets. I know a lot of people this year, they said, I'm not going to renew my season tickets. I'm going to go game by game. This team has to earn my trust back, and you do you. But I'm going to help you do you this weekend. The Giants are coming to town. Go see a dub, in my opinion, in person on the cheap. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code PHNX, $20 off your first purchase. This is the app for procrastinators out there. I remember I talked to somebody last year. They went to the Thursday night game against the Saints. They got 2 tickets on the 50-yard line, about 15 rows up, for $150 a piece. I'm talking like on the Cardinals sideline. So again, people are looking to score quick cash on Game Time, and there's not all those egregious fees, the penalties you pay in other places. So if you're like, Johnny, I'm going to wait till game day, do it. Sunday morning, check the Game Time app, go take your family out to the stadium, State Farm Stadium. They've got a lot of unique offers this year at the ball game. So again, check them out with Game Time.
I know my wife, my kid, my brother-in-law, his family, they use Game Time. They're going to the game on Sunday. Well, awesome. I'm working. They're going to get to go have some fun, hopefully see a dub, a much-needed win at home, but also a good way to celebrate that, or just get some dinner for tonight is with our friends over at Burrito Express. Of course, a mainstay here in the Valley of the Sun. Unbelievable burritos. They do even the classics right. Can't go wrong with their bean and cheese, but then you can get in with all their breakfast burritos, their machaca's unbelievable. Check it out. Their community service. They support Arizona State athletics, their athletes. They've got Jalen Conyers, our guy over here at PHNX, Elijah Badger, big touchdown catch on Saturday. And of course, the Borghese there. Free stickers for the first 25 people, usually through the door at Burrito Express at most of their events that they have with those student athletes. But follow them on Twitter, huge Valley sports fans, at Burrito EXP. Of course, check out all their Valley locations, including that Tempe location, Burrito Express. Unbelievable burritos.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I can't wait to get some this week. I don't know what a good segue into this because frankly it's disrespectful, but let's do it anyway. So the Cardinals have new concessions this year, Bo Brock, and they're doing some coffee with some foam. And take it away.
What's disrespectful about it? The Arizona Cardinals are just teaming up with a company here in the Valley, and they're able to take beer and they're able to take coffee. And they've got a beverage printing machine, and fans can add edible, high-resolution images and messages to foam of hot coffee, cold brew, and beer from craft culinary concepts. So here we have Arizona Cardinals 2023. That's looking pretty cool there. So, but you can get like your image on it. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, there's one right there. Here's a beer drinker that we've got. That's is that our own Johnny Venerable? Did we get one made already of the two-hand chug? From way back in the day. That's a good looking one right there. If you wanted to go in there and maybe get your favorite image of Johnny and his Tank Tuesday tank, you could get that done as well. But that's what you got going on at State Farm Stadium, new to home games. I love the people on Twitter that are like, I'd rather them focus on winning a football game. It's like, yeah, the guy in the food and beverage section of the Arizona Cardinals, he's in there with Jonathan Gannon all hours of the day trying to figure out how to get this dub.
Hey, Sully, get off the corn dog machine and go pad up. We need you out there holding the bag for Zaven Collins. Hey, Misty, they need you to go line the field. Come on.
What do we got here? Can we see the Johnny the screen? What is it? The foam print again? It's if you're sitting at State Farm Stadium and they start to say, "Hey, we got a pumpkin spice latte for the Pumpkin King." This is what you're gonna see. You'll see Johnny Venerable walk up and get his pumpkin spice for his nice crisp fall day.
Every time I think that image is scrubbed from the internet, we bring it back here, and it was on our Twitter today, so I knew it was coming for the show. I saw it in the show elements, and like I'm trying to have good mojo for this season, and I feel like we've got a real bad vibe, you and I. Like we don't agree on Brock Bowers, we don't agree on what you just put on the screen. It's just times are tough. I'm trying to get a dub and be positive, and you're putting up there. There was an instance, for those of people who don't know, I was chugging a beer on camera, one of our first shows here at PHNX before Bo Brock was ever here, and I almost spilled on my brand new shirt that day. So they caught me as I'm wiping off the phone, getting it off I didn't want it to be on my new shirt. It was a company shirt. Get out of here. I don't like that. Don't do that. That's rude. No, like people are tongue in cheek. Like I'm not a good beer chugger. It's not my vibe. Like I can finish a beer with a meal, have a nice conversation with people at BetMGM on Sunday. I had some wings. I'm
a big boy. I can finish a beer. I finished my beer. It's like, good for you. You I'm do so it glad like an hour and a half time.
I'm so glad you're going to be at the stadium. I don't have to see your dumb face. You're just the worst person. Everybody in the chat, if you're a casual beer drinker and you don't want to chug like a 22-year-old and you're just, hey, I'm here to enjoy the game and have a beverage, not like a Neanderthal like my co-host here.
What? Just because I can put down a beer in a proper amount of time?
Chug, like you're good at it. You're good at that. Congratulations. Okay. I've seen you chug beers before. Congratulations.
Johnny was so that picture was in heavy rotation when I first joined the show.
There's a t-shirt in the office with it.
There is a t-shirt. Yeah, Hanshot Furtz is asking for the t-shirt rights. It should be in the PHNX locker. I agree. We do have one. It's one of one. But that was in such heavy rotation, and then you like the first draft party we did, you said you were gonna have the comeback of a century, and you had almost just, if not more, of a pitiful performance chugging a beer.
I didn't use two hands. I used one hand. We had been on air for like 7 hours, in my defense, and I tried to chug it, and then I ate Bo's sandwich, and it didn't go well. So.
Oh man,
I love it here, and other than days like today.
Yeah, no, I mean, you just get what you deserve for it was a bad moment.
What I deserve is some illegal Pete's, Bo Brock. I deserve. Listen, I'm going to go to Illegal Pete's later because it's happy hour 3 to 8 every day, all 12 locations, and I'm going to get a beer, and it might be a tall one, and I'm going to enjoy it with my burrito, with my nachos, with my salad, with my tacos, whatever I pick. It's hot outside, and I'm going to enjoy a beer. I'm not going to chug it like some animal. I'm going to drink it nicely. Illegal Pete's is my go-to spot. again, for beers and buddies and burritos and nachos and tacos and whatever you want to do. 28 years here in the Valley. We have the best food partners in all seriousness. Look at those tacos on the screen. They look fantastic. There's the beer I'm going to be sipping on later with my friends at Illegal Pete. Jessica in the chat, Johnny will chug the wings. I will chug the wings. Absolutely.
Wing King.
I got some wings twofold. We had 2 orders of wings on Sunday at BetMGM. And I'm going to tell you right now, we posted the picture on social media, Bo did, and everybody's like, those wings look pretty legit. BetMGM's wings are legit. Like, all their food's legit. Their wings coming from me, it should mean something. They're legit.
From the Wing King, absolutely. Fantastic wings. The nachos are unbelievable. Their brunch, because it was the early game, we got some great. They had a crunch wrap, like their take on a crunch wrap. I think producer Damon put one of those down. What they are able to do in the culinary arts department, fantastic over our friends at BetMGM.
Real solid food.
Real solid. Just a note for you guys. No BetMGM at home games. That's only an away game thing for us. I know somebody unfortunately made the trip out there for one of the preseason games. Don't make that mistake again. We are only out there for away games. We're hanging out hopefully in studio for the home games. Give you the best cards coverage you can get. Of course, pre-game, post-game, halftime mixed in between there. Johnny, a couple other notes from practice. His usual spot, Kyler Murray continues to be there right front and center of his teammates stretching. And then once they go out to the practice field, he's got his normal spot right there with head coach Jonathan Gannon.
No, I was told Kyler Murray hates football and all things team oriented practices and studying and all that good stuff. Like, I thought he was playing vids at this point. Like, it's sad that, like, and you do a great job. You do the best of anybody who's at practice. That's my unbiased opinion. Like, that we have to report on this because it's something we've always known being around the team. But the narrative is Kyler Murray doesn't care and he doesn't want to. He's a football junkie. Like, Gannon said that, and people are like, "You're just his head coach. You have to say that." He's literally always around. He was at the facility the morning Josh Dobbs got there at like 5:30, 6 a.m. Like, he is poised mentally to have a really strong, hopefully 3/4 of the season. It's the physical part, but how can you question this guy's commitment? He's been unbelievable.
It's unquestionable. It's undeniable. For him to kind of get the opportunity to sit there, stand there with a defensive mind like Jonathan Gannon and kind of see it from that side of the football, I think it's going to do huge for him as far as when he returns to the playing field. And he's putting in the work with Drew Petzing. He's putting in the work with Josh Dobbs. He's putting in the work with Izzy as far as his quarterback's coach. He's really got the infrastructure around him finally to be successful and put it all together, get back on track after having a tough, 4th season like he did last year.
I hold out hope that he is removed off of PUP after these next 3 weeks, and then they can bring him back, whether it's you take him off and he practices for a week or 2, then he comes back. October, I think, still is a realistic timeline. And again, like, what that means for him long-term, what comes with 2024, I don't think anybody knows, but Kyler Murray is going to get his chance this year to put a stamp on this quarterback room. And again, like, you watch these rookies struggle, and they went over this weekend. Like, you remember Kyler Murray's year, there were some ups and downs. Like, I know everybody falls in love with draft prospects and Caleb Williams, but like, we know what Kyler Murray's ceiling is. It's a Pro Bowl or MVP type player. And if he's healthy and he's in sync with this offense, like, you got picks you can use elsewhere. That's really going to be tempting for them. Like, Kyler Murray's contract, as we see with each passing month, with each passing year, is going to be more and more affordable. And then you're going to be able to supplement the rest of this roster with draft picks on top of having $80 million next spring. Zypher, I'm hopeful too. But again, when he comes back, he's going to be healthy. They're going to put him in the best position to succeed. And hopefully Joshua Dobbs can get this team a dub or 2 in the short term. Because here's what I would I would hate for Kyler Murray to come back and this team to be winless. I think that would put unnecessary pressure. Not to say he couldn't handle it, but it would be nice for them to have a win or 2. God forbid, before Kyler Murray comes back, and then they can really focus in on helping this team.
Yeah, Ian saying Kyler or K1 probably sitting back, itching to get back in there, and that's been what's been told to us. That he's chomping at the bit. That was told to us back in February, into February, early March by his head coach, Jonathan Gannon. Arizona Animal, Kyler playing well is a win-win for us, whether the Cardinals keep him or trade him. I just, as days go on, it really just, I get the sense that he's going to be the guy from here on forward. I just don't know if, looking at the quarterback class, and I know there's some talent there, but you've got a guy in the building that is a proven commodity, and if you get him back on track, he can be that franchise guy.
I mean, not to get off topic here, but think about what would have to happen for them to take a quarterback next April. You would have to be assured that you'd have to fall in love with somebody right now and have that reinforced at the combine, and then know where you're picking that you could take that player, whether it's Caleb Williams or Drake May or whomever, albeit while Kyler Murray is still on the roster. There are so many hoops to jump through. Like if they pick first overall, we know what's going down. We assume. But if you're picking 2, 3, 4, 5, there's a lot of variables that go into this thing. And I number one, I don't think they're going to be picking first overall. And I think with each passing game, and assuming Kyler Murray comes back and plays well, he's going to be their franchise quarterback. I know a lot of people are positive about that, and a lot of people are disappointed with that notion. But let's give K1 a full off season with this coaching staff and this regime with new weapons in the spring to be able to take this team to where they need to go.
Yeah, Elijah Higgins, somebody who's kind of an interesting figure that they picked up off waivers before the beginning of the season from the Miami Dolphins. He's a wide receiver turned tight end. He was wearing 12 today in practice. Assume he's going to play the role of Darren Waller, one of the main offensive threats, if he can play, if he's healthy enough to play on Sunday with the hamstring issue. But the Arizona Cardinals are preparing for him, Johnny, and Higgins seems to be playing that role. So other than that, pretty standard day out there. Heard from Dobbs, heard from Gannon, heard from some of their teammates. We've got some stuff coming from Zaven Collins, talked to Trey McBride, both those, your third-year player, second-year player. We've got some good content coming your way via PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter.
Check them out, too, at gophnx.com. Our guy Howard Balzer's got sights and sounds, and Bo and Howard will be at the game on Sunday. Become a diehard. Get a free T-shirt from the merchandise locker. Get that Greg Dortch T-shirt before it runs out. Get a free one. Become a diehard at gophnx.com. Drop a like on this video, by the way. You guys helped us out big time. You liked the video from yesterday. It's doing very well because of all of you. It's always because of everybody here, 190 plus strong in the chat. Bo Brack, we are off tomorrow. We were off for the first time in what seems like a long time, and it's going to hurt me because we're gonna give way to Thursday Night Football, and then we're coming back on a Football Friday for our definitive Giants at Cardinals game preview show.
Now, we haven't discussed this, and I don't want to throw you under the bus, put too much pressure on my boy. But audio only? Should it be in where people find podcasts Friday morning?
I think that's something that we can certainly discuss. That if you're unwrapping your podcast presence on a Friday morning, there could be a special little nugget from your boys at PHNX Cardinals. Audio only is our late night specialty. And speaking of late night specialty, can we officially plug the last Tuesday of the month, the debut of PHNX Cardinals Prospects, the Cardinal Prospect Show, the first and I think the definitive Cards coverage ahead of next April's NFL Draft College Football Extravaganza show. Who makes sense for the Cardinals? Top prospects over the course of this 2023 college football season. Can't wait to do that with you, Bo.
Yeah, we're going to break down all the sights, sounds from the college season. We'll have a couple games under our belt, including a game in Tempe from the weekend after that, before that Tuesday of Caleb Williams and USC being in town. So we'll talk about that. We'll discuss that. That's going to be a fun thing we're going to do just about once a month, really gearing you up towards April's draft because the Cardinals have, around 12 picks now. It's going to be unbelievable. But have a good rest of your Wednesday. Tomorrow, of course, follow along on social. I'll be out there at practice. We'll get you everything you need to know. Buddha Baker talks every Thursday now, so we'll get some from Buddha. But subscribe, and of course, wherever you find podcasts, you can get that audio-only edition maybe Friday morning. We'll see. We'll keep you on your toes. For Johnny Venerable, Damon Dog, myself, Bo Brack, we'll talk to you Friday.